A very good evening and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television. We are taking a look on what's happening in the nation of Zimbabwe. And interestingly, we have seen President also Chamisa backing Professor Lovemore Madhuku. And this is very important. He was responding to a video from an interview of Professor Lovemore Madhuku. And he made it clear that Professor Madhuku was on point, and they need to make sure that they resist and they put everyone, they include everyone. This is something which is very important for us to look at. And we also need to hear what Professor Madhuku had said, because the key issues right here are that they are going to make sure that they take this matter to court. If it fails, they'll make it politically. Let us take a look.
There's no doubt that those proposals are not good for the country. There's no doubt about it. There's also no doubt that they are unacceptable to the vast majority of the people of Zimbabwe. We must say quickly that proposals to amend the constitution cannot be just done in secrecy, and then you emerge from some secret meeting to then put to the people of Zimbabwe far-reaching changes to the way they have been governed, the way they understand how the country must be structured. There's no person with such power in the country. Let's be clear about that. You are the president, you are speaker of parliament, you are a minister. No person in this country has the power from nowhere, from the secrets of your meetings or bedrooms. Just come up with far-reaching proposals and say, these are the proposals. Within 90 days, we will actually be changing the constitution. That is not part of the mandate that they were given to govern the country. So if you are the president, you are not given the mandate to change the way in which we are governed, or even to make proposals. If you are parliament, you have no mandate to actually then say, well, we are here, we are given 5 years to be parliamentarians, we now want to give to ourselves a further. I mean, it's completely unthinkable. So I should say that the proposals don't make sense and that they shouldn't be part of our constitution. What it means is that there will be opposition to that, and people must be told that if they don't like those proposals, they have a right to reject them. I mean, speaking for myself and many people that I work with in the NCA and other organizations, the people that are pushing these proposals do not have the interest of Zimbabweans. Let's take the very simple issue of how we should have our president in the country. I think that it's quite obvious that the majority of the people would want to have a say in determining who becomes president. But this indirect arrangement, which says, well, you vote for an MP, and when these MPs sit in a room, they will then decide who should become our president. But as soon as they decide on that person and they vote for him, the person becomes the president of Zimbabwe. That change cannot sit with, for the past 35 years, 34 years actually, from 1987 up to now, we have had an executive president, but we started the elections of a direct election in 1990. So 1990 to now 2026, so it's about 36 years. For 36 years, we have lived under a political system where we would elect our president. So people would have ambitions to be president. People will also believe that if they have a president that they elected, they can go to him and her and things like that. The country is governed. That is what I can call the political psychology, or whatever we would have in our mindset. You can't just change that. And when you want to change that, you also cannot do it and say, I'm not going to go to people to ask them what they think, because they gave me a mandate, because that's my understanding of the argument against them. Where were they given that mandate to change that, and then that they will do it with? So the fact that they are hinting at not wanting a referendum means that they know very well that what they want to do is not in the interest of the people. Now, that won't be allowed. So what is going to happen is that they will use so many mechanisms. One mechanism that we have, the current constitution puts in place courts. They also they have in place among the courts the constitutional court, which is actually specifically supposed to be the custodian of the constitution. That's what that court is supposed to be. So it must be our first port of call. We have a very simple issue. Can these changes be done without a referendum? The movers of these proposals say it can be done without a referendum. We are saying it cannot be done without a referendum. That's a legal question. It's just a matter of what does the Constitution currently say. So we go to court. That's not a street issue. We can only think about streets in that regard once the court says there's no referendum. Once the court makes that interpretation, then we go political. We will still want a referendum. And so forth. Is that clear enough? That's the position that should be. So people must not be worried. I don't see these proposals succeeding. From the interactions we have from them, they are so unacceptable that I think most of the people that are at the forefront of putting them in place and so on, these are people that are experimenting. They are not well grounded in politics, although they are doing it in the name of people that are grounded in politics. But the front runners of the proposals are people that will have a rude awakening to say that you cannot just think that you have had a brilliant idea, you move from your what you have stored into your head onto paper, and then somewhat you are likely to get that passed by cabinet, and you are also likely that you can speak to the nation and say this. Those things they can do, moving papers from one office to the other, and even publishing things in the Gazette. But the political process of getting the people of this country to say that from now on we will be governed by those proposals, that's a very difficult process. And they'll have to do it. I mean, they have to have all the power. I'm sure, I don't know, if they are relying on their own power, unfortunately they won't succeed, unless they were given the power of God. But without the power of God, and they have their own power, that's simply that they were elected in the last election, they can simply lose that mandate within minutes. I'm sure we all know that. You can lose them. You were elected in 23 years. But what is the current mood? That's why in many countries you can even have what are called snap. You can call an election now. It doesn't mean that ZANU-PF will win again with this nonsense that they are spreading around. So an electoral mandate is not there for abusing. You can't keep referring to what you got in 2023. It's actually now about 3 years ago. It will be 3 years ago from the last election. And that is not enough, and so on. I think even in our show now, that's irrelevant. I mean, we are here now to look at what are the interests of Zimbabweans. You know, they elected me in 2023. So we should be saying that I think they want to cause political instability. That's what they are up to, which is bad for these politicians to invite, because there will be people who oppose. And I'm sure now that they have state power, they would say, well, if you oppose, we'll arrest you. If you oppose, you know, the usual thing. But certainly they will be opposed, and certainly they must prepare to arrest people. And that is now to invite political trouble. We have a peaceful country. They should know that people will rise against these things, and so on. We do it peacefully, etc. So we'll engage the courts, especially for that. We have no problem with them now trying to say they go to their parliament that they get. But I also need to add that it is very worrying that these politicians believe that the mere fact that you belong to a particular political party would mean that as an MP you must not think. So they say we have a 2/3 majority. So those people in parliament must not think. If you are ZANU-PF, just accept that proposal. There's something wrong with that party, not wrong with the political system. The political system which has parliament must benefit from parliamentarians each independently applying their mind. But ZANU-PF is running the country on the basis that parliamentarians are robots or rubber stamps. That must be changed, etc. So those are my reactions. It's unacceptable. They also want to do it in an unconstitutional way. If they believe what they are doing is constitutional, let's meet in the courts. But the courts are not going to be the end of the matter. If the courts say it's unconstitutional, that of course is the end of the matter. But if the courts say it's constitutional, we will then try and make it change the constitution in a way. We will resist it politically.
So this is what Professor Madhuku said. And remember, President Nelson Chamisa responded to this. If you can see right there on the screen, President Nelson Chamisa responded to what Professor Madhuku said, and he's in agreement. So the key issues which we need to talk about right here are that they are ready to go to court. If the court declares that this is constitutional, they will take it through another route. that is politics. So if the legal route fails, the political route will kick in, and the political route means protest. The political route means even go to the extent of 2017. And remember, there is a court order which allows that political route to be taken, and that order was given by Justice Garwe, if I'm not mistaken about the names. So we need to understand this. Madhuku is very clear. He says that there is no one with power to unilaterally change the constitution whenever you want it. It's not like that. When you're looking at the constitution, it's like a character of a nation. The constitution, it defines the character of a nation. You cannot just erase a character just like that. It takes months and months and time and a lot of effort for you to be able to alter a character. So when you're looking at the characteristics of a nation called Zimbabwe, they are defined by the constitution. So you can't do it and say, we have changed this to that, just like that. And without a referendum, according to Professor Madhuku, it will be very easy on paper, but its implementation and on the ground is going to be a very, very difficult game, a very tough game, and it's actually difficult in reality. So he mentions, or he says something very important, and you have to put this in quotes. Unless MNANGAGWA and ZANU-PF do have the power of God. If they have the power of God, they can do it. But if they know that they don't have the power of God, then they are joking. When you see such statements being made, people are serious about this. And Professor Madhuku goes on to mention the issue of being arrested. He says that they have to prepare to arrest people. What it means is this grouping of people we are seeing right now, the mood they have entered into, they are ready to fight left, right, and center. They are ready to sweat. They are ready to even sweat blood to make sure that they defend Zimbabwe and its character. So this cannot be altered by individuals in their back offices, in their tea rooms and everything else, in their bedrooms. They cannot think to say we are going to do A, B, C, D, and they wake up tomorrow, the whole nation is being told what to do. So that is being challenged, and that has been denied. It is so much. The whole nation is against this whole issue, and it's going to be a very, very long journey for Emerson. So they've been told point blank that you can lose power in minutes. So they've said that if you continue with this one, you lose power in minutes and you won't even understand how it happened. So that is a caution from Professor Madhuku, and you need to take that serious, because when you see politicians and legal minds gathering together and saying that we are going to use the first route as the legal route and the second route is the political route, just know that the people are so serious to make sure that they deal with this matter. So it's no longer about who is the Chief Justice. It's no longer about how the judiciary is captured, because they've been warned to uphold the laws and to uphold the constitution and to deal with this matter fairly or face the consequences. What it means is no one will be spared. If the political route is to be followed, no one will be spared, including the judges, including those in authority and those in power, and those who are supposed to be enforcing the laws. Everyone will be blanketed in such a response. So before we end, in conclusion, two routes. The first one is the legal route, and if that fails, the political route. And the political route will likely have to give us the 2017 results. And they said that they are ready to be arrested, they are prepared to face the consequences, and MNANGAGWA cannot bank on ZANU-PF MPs who are controlled like robots. So what it means is these people, they are serious, they are taking this matter very, very serious, and they believe that if everyone puts his effort, they are going to make a difference and make sure that they force this regime to order, then the bottom line is this is unacceptable and it won't happen. So when you see leaders issuing such statements, what you have to understand and to know is they're serious about what is going to happen. So at this point in time, ZANU-PF is playing, and they're simply joking. They won't even succeed in whatever which they are planning. So this is what we have for you. We have given you a response of President Chamisa to Professor Lovemore Madhuku, as much as what Professor Lovemore Madhuku said, and this is something very important, and we're watching to see what happens. So yes, Zimbabweans, we need to be very, very serious. We need to unite and make sure that we work with our leaders to make sure that we deal with the abnormalities which have been brought by these people. So Bezo says handi zvakuenda kwamvura yacheka makumbo manje dai zvachisvika wedwe. Yes, Zimbabweans are now tired. Everyone is willing to have change at this point in time. 2 Point says Anzi, we are dealing with abnormal people, thieves. Yes, and we have to deal with them in an abnormal way. We have to use the same tactics they are used against us, and at the end of the day they will fail because the people united, put together, that people power is unstoppable. Yes, Molen, thank you very much as well for the contribution. And the Pashata Umano and Achete. So this is what is happening, Team Zimbabwe. When the time is right, you see things happening. And I believe that we are getting close to that point. We are getting close to the breaking point. And at a certain point in time, change will be realized in the nation of Zimbabwe. So we continue to fight for change. We continue to be in solidarity with everyone who is speaking against Zigananda. And we hope and believe that change will come in our lifetime. But we feel that it's not too far. Let us meet in other episodes as well as other broadcasts.